Welcome back to the Level Up and Live podcast, where we sit down with Montgomery County's boldest business owners who are building more than just companies. They're building lives that matter. Today's guest is Krystle Wear, a roofing business owner, single mom, and straight up force of nature. She's built a business on grit, excellence, and heart. Let's dive into her story and what it means to lead with resilience. Krystle, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So what I love, what we've been doing the last, I guess, few times when we've had a guest on, and we also do this in our mastermind group, is a 1-minute intro. So tell us your name, tell us what you do, and why you do what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Krystle Wear. I am the owner and slash consultant of Clear Cut Roofing. I'm here in Montgomery County. I try to keep it North Houston, also in Austin. I have a small team. So yeah, roofing is what I do. I love helping people walk through either two routes, the insurance process, retail process, and just get them to what they need is, a new roof or repair. I do all of this because my son, he is 10 and I've got to be, mom and dad. So I'm going to show him how I can be both in one with roofing. So, and hopefully it'll drive him into a possible career choice in the future. So yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, I want to dive right into this because I know our listeners, audience, and viewers, there's so much value because I've gotten to know you these last several months, and every time I talk to you, I just get this sense of like electric, this vibe, this energy, and we feed off that. We feed off that each other, and then also too, you're a businesswoman, and you don't see a lot of that out there in the business world. So we're rooting for you, we're cheering for you, and I'm
Thanks.
sure our listeners and audience are as well. So, but let's take it back to the beginning. What made you say, you know what, I'm going to start a roofing company?
So it kind of went back before. I thought my career was set. I thought I was going to be a recruiter, mainly technical recruiting. It's just what I did for many years in Austin. And I thought that was it. Like I've found what I'm going to do, maybe open my own little recruiting agency. But, there was always a bigger plan that was outside of my knowledge. COVID hit, that kind of switched everything up and totally changed up the game for recruiters. A lot of recruiters were let go, tons of layoffs. It was really crazy time. So I went with the market changes after a few years, and then I landed with I just made a complete shift into something different where I could have transferable skills. I could take what I knew with recruiting and move it into something else, and it happened to be roofing. So I worked with a large company, learned everything I needed to learn, and then I realized they're keeping 50 to 60% of my commission. I can do this myself, and I've always been very, a little stubborn, a little like rebellious in a way. So I was able to use my stubborn rebellion in a more positive, productive way. So it's been an interesting year.
That's awesome. So how long you been in business?
It'll be a year, July 24th.
So your anniversary's coming up.
Yes.
It's been rainbows and sunshines, right?
Rain, rainbows, sunshine. Yeah, all of it. All the
Well,
above.
my point here is roofing is tough. It's
Right.
physical, it's demanding, there's detail driven work in it. So I'm curious, what drew you to this trade and what keeps you in it? Because
So
you don't see a lot of women in roofing.
yeah. So I guess the main thing was, now that I think about it deeper, the woman that called me about this position, our stories were completely in line. It was just, there was no coincidence. We were both at a price point with our companies that or she was a nurse and she worked for a private little practice, and they were not going to pay her $1 more. They weren't going to pay me anymore. And I mean, everything about our stories, whether it was personal, professional, they lined up perfectly. So I was like, of course, I'll come meet with you. I don't know anything about roofing, never been on a roof before. Let's see how this goes. So she's a wonderful recruiter also. So she just told me everything, how it changed her life. She was able to buy a house for her and her son. Her son, it's just her and both of them as well. And he's a little bit older than mine, but it provided all these opportunities that she wasn't going to have to rely on anyone, her family, a roommate, a guy, nothing. It was just a way for her to um, really make it. And she, like me, had thought she had found her career as a nurse. And those skills they're always going to be handy, they'll never go away. So that kind of really like led me to it. I didn't know what I was really signing up for. I just knew that this is going to get me to where I want to be, which is financial freedom and time. I needed that time back. And then I learned like, oh, I got to get on the roof. Oh, I got to do all this. So it really was like 2 years of like, I had to just like get through all these. I have so many crazy stories from getting stuck on roofs and realizing that I pushed myself too far, or a lot of all the driving. So yeah, once I like got all through that, I call it like the hairiness of it all.
Yes.
That's when I was like, I can do this myself.
Yes, that's beautiful. Was there a moment early in your journey, so you're almost hit your 1 year anniversary, where you realized this is what I'm meant to do?
Definitely at the beginning. I just knew, I kept hearing in my head, like, have you had enough? Have you had enough of working for people? Have you had enough of like being told like, oh, you're 5 minutes late, where that 5 minutes late is because you were, trying to get all the chores done in the morning, trying to get your kid to school and just make it all happen.
Mhm.
And I realized like, yeah, I've had enough. Like I've had enough. I'm going to do this. I didn't know really what I was getting myself into, but I knew like it was going to be better than all the things that I had already been put through.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Mm. That's beautiful. And I know the first 12 months, because I've built, when I started the insurance company, I was just head down in the sand, goggles on,
Mhm.
doing. If somebody told me to eat a bag of rocks, I would eat a bag of rocks.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that. It's like I'd do anything.
Yeah.
Like,
Like, and that's the mindset that you got to have, is being coachable and being
mhm.
hungry, being eager, and then surrounding yourself with people that have been where you want to go. And to me, that's what I have learned, and that's the fastest way to get to where you want to go and success.
Right.
And with that, one of the things that I've also learned is as well, and I think you've learned this as well, is leadership. Leadership
Mhm.
in being a small business owner, we are the bottleneck. We are the lid within our business. And so what I
Mhm.
mean by that is, if our business is not growing, if we're experiencing frustration, stagnation, and even setbacks and challenges, where we feel that like that cog in the wheel and that rat race,
Right.
is because of typically of not looking ourselves in the mirror and not looking inward. And I know firsthand, because I've been uh, in the front seat with you these last 8 to 12 months. You have
Mhm.
leaned in and you have put in the work behind the scenes in your leadership journey. Now, it'll always be until the day we die as
Right.
leaders, but that's the whole point of leveling up and living our best life. Is what is that next level? What is that next baseline to level up and live my best life? And it's
Right.
such a beautiful thing. And it's such a beautiful feeling, because if you know that's your North Star and becoming that 10.0 version of yourself,
Mhm.
then there's, to me, that's hope. And the fastest way to get there is to pour into others. And I think you're
Right.
experiencing that along the journey as
Mhm.
well. Now, what has been one of the hardest leadership lessons that you've learned as a small business owner, just in these short 12 months?
Well, definitely, I mean, it goes back to any job I've had, not letting people walk all over me. I'm really
Mm,
good about supporting people. I'm really good about, I've always, I just have always met people where they are. Meet them where they are. If they're here, meet them here. If they're here, anywhere they are, I meet them emotionally, like everything, so I can really connect with them to build them to where I need them to go, and I can push them like, okay, are we pushing you into an admin role, whatever. But I realized if you're not having really like a firm way of doing that in a positive, it can just turn into you get walked all over and taken advantage of. So
yeah.
I've done really well with cutting that out of my personal life, letting people do that, but getting that shaped into a healthy way professionally has been that's been the hardest challenge.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
So what I'm hearing you say is being able to be the leader, be the role model, be the leader in. And that's one of the things that it was hard for me to understand that
Hmm.
up until about 3 years ago, is that compassion, that empathy, that perspective from the customer, from the team member, from the other
Yes.
person's point of view. And that's what I'm hearing you say, is that you try to put yourself in the other person's shoes, the customer,
Very.
Man,
Yes.
that's so beautiful, and I think that's so overlooked, Krystle, and I think that's a
Mhm.
power that is a powerful skill set that you have, and you've mentioned that a few times, and just for
Mhm.
people listening to this, that's one of the things that I wish I would have learned early in my entrepreneur and business journey was, hey, dude, you need to put yourself in the customer shoe. You need to put yourself in the team member shoe. And
Mhm.
it's not all about you and being selfish because when we do that, we're not putting ourselves in the other person's shoe.
Right.
We never know what that other person's going through, you know?
Right. And it's kind of like a balance. You have to see it like I see a line where an arrow goes both ways. You have to be right in the middle. You
Mm,
can't be too all about you, but you can't also, like I've done, go way too far for the customer or the team member or whatever, because then the company still will not, it won't live because
yeah.
you're giving all the money away, giving all your time and energy. So staying in that middle is like it's like a teeter totter, just staying balanced. But
Yeah.
that's been the biggest, I think, struggle because all the other little detailed parts, like figuring out like the best distributor to use and who has the best this and that, those are all just little technicalities that can be worked through.
Right.
But staying in that, finding what your weaknesses are and staying balanced with it and not like tipping too far one way or the other, I think that's been the biggest lesson I've learned.
Well, I'll go ahead and ask the $1 million question then, because I know our listeners and audience are wanting to hear this. How do you stay balanced? How do you stay aligned?
Um, I'm with my dog a lot.
Your
She
therapy
drives
dog?
me, yeah, she drives me nuts. Like she's a lot, but I feel like I don't know. Like
Hmm.
she keeps me going. Like we will go to the dog park, we'll go walk, we'll go do whatever.
Yeah.
But it just keeps me in a different mindset. It just takes me off of work for a little bit. So I think that's really like my best balance. And I meet a ton of people
Mm,
dealing with her because either she's barking at them or she's loving on them. Like she
yeah.
loves men.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like she's like a conversation point. I think I've gotten roofs out of her too. And
Are you
so
serious? Oh, that's awesome.
probably,
Yeah.
yeah, I've met a lot of people at the dog park. So I think that's like my best, like calm. I love going there and just laying on the bench for like 10 minutes. Yeah, and it's right by my house. So,
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say is you almost are being intentional because of your dog, nature, walks, going to the dog
yes.
park, and it allows you to reset and recover that mind.
Yes,
Mm,
yeah, being outside. And that's another thing I love about roofing is I couldn't just stay my life sitting behind a computer inside all day anymore.
mm.
And roofing allows me to be outside, and so does this crazy dog.
Well, and that's also self awareness too. I think that's one of the most overlooked skill sets and mindsets is self awareness. I think
Mhm.
once you become self aware inward and look inward as a human being, how am I leading my home? How am I leading my dog, my kid? How am I showing
Mhm.
up as a business owner for my customers? All these different faucets of life and areas of life. How am I showing up for my health? And you're
Right.
self aware of that, and you're able to reflect on that on a weekly basis
Mhm.
and align that and correct course, then again, that's another level up and live moment. You know.
Right.
So, man, I was excited about asking this question because I know a lot of our viewers and listeners, and especially we have a lot of women that are business owners as well. And so, roofing is a male dominated space. What has been your experience, or I'm sorry, what has your experience been like as a woman leading in this space?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of men, but the good thing is you don't really you're not really like face to face that much with roofers. You have to hear about it from other like homeowners, property owners. And the good thing is it's kind of like car salesmen, this and that. It's whoever the customer connects with. You could be selling the exact same ice cube. I've literally sold ice machines before. And you could be selling the exact same cube to anybody, but it's just whoever they want to work with. I work with a lot of, I would say, like older generation, a lot of single women. It's whoever you feel comfortable with. Some people, they'll just, they'll feel more comfortable with the man or
Yeah,
whatever. And then some, I'm really like, I'm patient. I'll hold their hand and I will walk them through the process. Some people are like, no, no, no. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to, to just do it all. And I'm like, all right, cool. So
yeah,
I figure out like what works for them. Like, do they just want to text? Do they just want to call? And the best part about what I did prior as a recruiter, it's the same thing. Some
yeah,
people are like, just email me, just call me, just text me. Like, So it's the same type of bringing that skills of like, how does this person like to communicate? So yeah, I think that's the main thing about it being male dominated is it's just whoever they feel comfortable with.
I think that's brilliant advice. That's absolutely brilliant advice, because what I'm hearing you say is that when you're with the customer, you're not being a chameleon, but you're just putting yourself in their shoes. And I think
Mhm.
like we mentioned earlier in the episode, that a lot of times if it's male dominated, we're just a lot, myself included. In the past, I was just transactional. Hey, I was just trying to
Right.
get the roof,
Go, go, go.
go and roof. I
Yeah.
wasn't necessarily trying to build a relationship, but you from the beginning, you have really held their hand, cried if they
Mhm.
needed,
Oh,
somebody to
yeah.
cry on, and be there with them, walk them through the process, go to war, go to fight.
Yep.
And if I have somebody that I'm doing business with and building a relationship with, I want you on my team, because I
Yeah.
know that you're going to go to bat. And that's what the funny thing is. I've actually told my company, I'm like, getting to know Krystle, I'm like, guys, look, I know we get a lot of phone calls, but y'all need to be putting her name first, because I
I
know
love
she's
it.
going to go to war for our customers.
Yes.
And
And
that's
I
the
try not
split.
to rush it because I know like a lot of, sales is kind of like go, 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 calendar day. And I want, especially something like insurance.
Mm,
It just hits people in an emotional way. They get worried, they get scared. You have all different types of people they don't want to upset their insurance company or whatever
yep.
theory they have in their head. And I like to be able to bring the facts. I can bring them the facts, I can bring them the education and let them know, like, if we do this, this is what happens. If we do this, this is what happens.
Yes.
And it kind of calms people down. So no matter what type of person they are, where they're at in life, whatever mindset, I can just let them know, like, this is the education on it. Like, just follow the process.
You see, you just mentioned the word education, and that word right there speaks to me so much, because that is how the insurance company was born in 2015, was educating people through insurance. And that's our
Right.
motto. That's our purpose. And
I
that's
love
what I'm
it.
hearing you say. And that's what you do a really good job at your roofing
Yeah.
company, is you educate people. And
Hmm.
people, because there's so many businesses out there that they are transactional. They're just trying to get your money, and they're not
Right.
walking you through the process or holding your hand. And that's what you do differently. And I feel like you're just getting warmed up, and that's what's going to really separate you
Yes.
from the masses. You're staying in your lane, you're making
Hmm.
things happen, and you're educating the people, and that is going to pay huge dividends for you in the future.
Right. Because I knew I was different, being women owned, but I wanted to really be like, okay, but what does that mean? And
Yeah.
I think it means like, I'm a mom. Like this is what I do all day. I cater to and I help, but that's what I not only am good at, but I enjoy doing. Like I don't mind like taking it slow. Really, if I need to explain it to you 10 times, like I'm going to explain it to you 11 times. Like I'm going to make sure that we're on the same page. So yeah, I think that's definitely how I want this like legacy that I'm trying to create like live on.
I love that. I guess it was about 12 months ago, one of my rental homes here locally in Montgomery County, I was using a roofer, and we were sending a lot of business to him at the insurance company. And I hadn't talked to this individual for some time. He owns a roofing company, been around for, I guess, I don't know, half a decade, maybe even
Mhm.
longer. And he's always taking care of us, and I've never been one. I never talk bad about people or bad mouth. But it just goes aligned with what we're talking about, the experience and being
Right.
educated. We had a hiccup here recently. I guess it was about 6 to 12 months ago on one of my rentals, and he had replaced the roof. I guess it was about 18 months ago.
Hmm.
And then just about 2 or 3 months ago, and the roof had already been replaced. And about 2 or 3 months ago, I get a phone call from the claim had already been closed, the roof had already been replaced, paid out. I already paid, everything had gotten taken care of. And
Hmm.
they reached out to me. The adjuster reached out to me and said, "Hey, we just want to get this approval on this supplemental. We're missing, this documentation." I'm like, "Supplemental? This roof was closed out 18 months ago." And the
Yeah,
lady
that's a
had
long supplemental process.
yeah. And this was a pretty substantial, the insurance carrier that I have, they take care of business.
Right.
And so this is a moment where I was uneducated, and nobody
Hmm.
had reached out to me. The roofing owner, nobody, no team member had reached out to me and educated me through the process. And so immediately I had an indicator red flag. I was like, "Well, is this normal 18 months later?" And they're like, "Yeah, sometimes, somebody drags their feet or there's a documentation sent in." I said,
Right.
"Okay, I'm a reasonable guy. Let me reach out." Well, apparently the guy had went behind the scenes and tried to get additional supplemental.
Yeah.
And so I didn't dig too deep into it. I was like, I want this person to be entitled to his money. But that just goes back to what we're talking about
Hmm.
is if I would have got the phone call, and this is what I told the owner to, hey, I got an unexpected phone call from my adjuster saying this has been reopened and this is the supplemental was needing to be paid out. If I would have been educated that I would have got the phone call, or maybe, that this was going on, I would have been okay
Right.
with it. And let this be known to customers and people listening to this, and I'm sure this
Hmm.
is what you have done a really good job at, is educating them through that process.
Hmm.
And when maybe there's a supplemental, or we're going to make mistakes as human beings, as business owners and
Right.
entrepreneurs, but learning from that, when I expressed what I had felt and what I had experienced after getting that
Hmm.
18-month phone call, when I thought it was closed, because I
Just
was,
like a,
yeah, I was like,
yeah.
whoa. And it was, kind of a shocking moment. And there was a lot of defensiveness from the owner standpoint. So I resonated with that because I used to be that in the past.
Right.
And I think that's what you're doing such a wonderful job at, Krystle, is separating yourself from the pack because there's going to be customers like me. There's going to be customers out there that don't understand. You've got to take it down to that fifth grade level and
Right.
explaining it to them and having that patience
Yeah.
with it.
And letting them know up front, like what's to expect. Like on my contingency form, if we're not taking the retail route, we're taking the insurance route, it says, 4 checks that are
Mm,
owed to me only if I get the roof approved, like if I go to bat for you, whatever. If not, contingency form doesn't. But the last one is supplement check, but it gives a large description. So we sit down and we go over like some people are like, why do I have to pay deductible? So I kind of like break that down and then they're like, okay. And it's a good way to like, they can refer back to it on the contingency form. But yeah, if you don't let people know, like, this is like the full process of what we're doing, then they're kind of like confused, like, well, what do you mean?
mm,
So,
yeah.
but yeah, no, I totally get it.
It's brilliant. Well, just double down on that, triple down on that. And even our listeners and audience and viewers as well. If you're a business owner, man, that's my biggest piece of advice. And I think, Krystle, you would agree with that and resonate with
Hmm.
that. It's like, slow down to go fast and educate your customers through the
Right.
process. And then it becomes a challenge because then you're replacing yourself by growing and scaling. Then now you have to have your team members, you
Yeah.
know, that be able to explain that. So that
Yes.
transitions into my next question, which is when the times get tough, and I
Mhm.
know they do, especially the first 12 months, 2 years, 3 years. How do you stay
Right.
grounded when things get tough on it's either a job site, in business, or even personal life? Is there a way that you stay
Um,
grounded?
I think I definitely so I like refound God, Jesus, all that a few years ago. So that is just the first thing in my mind. So it really keeps me like going. But about that, we only have 24-hour days for a reason. We only can handle mentally, physically, all of that, the stuff of the world in that 24 hours. So even if it's like really hard, really difficult one day and I'm feeling all these emotions and I'm trying to battle it and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna wake up. Things will be different. That problem might still be there, but like I don't have to endure all this pain for days and days and days without, So I
Yes.
think that keeps my mind like it'll be okay. And then I also think back on I've already been through so much, like I'm not like 20 starting my business, like I'm closer to 40. And so I've already been through a lot. And even though this is totally different where I'm running my own thing, I'm bringing in my own paycheck, I still have had to put out tons of fires before.
Yeah.
So I really just try to use anything I've ever gone through to be like, how do I solve this? Because everything can be solved. And if
Yeah.
it can't, the biggest thing is communication. I
Yes.
think that's where I used to be like, hmm, it's fine. I'll just shove it under the rug. Like I'll figure it out. And
Interesting.
I used to just not communicate it. I didn't want to like put stress on someone else, or I didn't want to like, I was like, I'll just figure it out. But now I'm really like, I'll go to who I need to go to and be like, this is a problem. I can't solve this on my own. I'm going to need help like figuring this out.
I
So
love that right there. We need to pause for 2 seconds. That is humility. That's vulnerability.
it's hard.
And I resonate with that so much. And here's why,
Hmm.
because we think it's weakness. We think it's weird, however we want to
Hmm.
spin it, when we reach out for help and we remain in isolations. We try to sweep it underneath the rug and
Right.
we don't stare it down. And so what I'm hearing you say is, oh, you know what? There's actually people out there that I can communicate what I'm going through because this may be a blind spot, and I can talk to somebody that's been where I'm wanting to go that can
Right.
help address that or shed the light on that.
Or this person, like, if I'm having conflict with someone that's a crew member or whatever, usually I'd just be like, let me just go get them food or let me get them something. Let me just keep them happy. But that's not what solves the problem. Having that hard conversation face to face, like, no, you did break this. I am
Mm,
not paying for this. Like
yeah.
just really like putting that like
Mm,
that real problem in front of it instead of just being like it'll be fine. Because if not, then that problem will come up again and again. So I
mm,
think like looking that person in the face and having communication, that's hard. It's hard, but it has to be done.
yeah. Why do you
um,
think people, just in general, and business owners, why do you think we don't have those hard conversations? Why do you think we don't stare it down and do the things, the hard things that we know we need to do? Why
Childhood.
did you not do it? What'd you say?
I think it's all about childhood. I think it's
Yeah.
like we were taught not to do that. We were just taught to go say you're sorry, go,
Mhm.
as a little kid, go tell them you're sorry, it's fine. But you don't always need to be sorry. If someone else did something,
Mm,
you don't have to force them to take accountability, but you do need to, I think, as being a leader,
mm.
you need to bring it to light and be like, well, this is what happened, but always keep the facts. You know what I always say? When emotions are high, your intelligence is low. So bring
Yes.
all the emotions out of it, push it aside, and be like, this is just the fact of it. This was broken. This is what I will not pay for. How can we like try to agree on this? Like, let's just talk about it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times people go to someone and be like, you broke this, you did this, I'm not paying for it. Like those emotions, they're going to get you nowhere.
Yeah.
But I think it's all about how we were just taught as kids and
Yeah.
how we're all like in our 20s 30s now trying to like reshape all that and heal from whatever mess. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's so true. And I'm learning that recently just in
Mhm.
my leadership journey and leveling up to lead others well. Because if you're going to be in a business ownership role, if you're a leader of a household, and I know you're the leader of your household, then in my opinion, the one of the top three things you should be focused on in making it a priority is not only leadership, but communication.
Right.
And I'm pushing, I just turned 38. And one of the things that I wish I would have had somebody drill into me, Krystle,
Hmm.
10, 15, 20 years ago was learn how to communicate
Same.
and learn from, and that's what it all
Yep.
comes down to. Everything that you're saying is spot on, and a
Hmm.
lot of times we go in when there's confrontation, when there's
Hmm.
something that somebody's not being held accountable or somebody's not taking ownership,
Right.
people don't know how. That's the thing, is they don't know how, is what I've learned. And
Yes.
so if we can be those role models for our kids and for our team members and for our community and our customers, and be the one to embrace
Right.
that suck and that challenge and learn how to communicate, because there's a recipe. It's a skill set to learn how
Hmm.
to communicate. And and it's such a beautiful thing, because that is a level up moment. And when you find that priority that you can focus on a daily basis, you have something to work on, you have something to strive for, because
Right.
then, man, it's such a beautiful place to be. Because when you get on a podcast, or when you talk to your kid, or when you talk to the next customer,
Hmm.
you're instead of wondering why nobody's listening to you, or you're not influencing this person, or they're arguing with you, instead it's because you've tweaked and you've adjusted your wordage,
Right.
your body language, your tone in your voice. There's so
Hmm.
much that comes with it, and communication is everything.
Yes, I completely agree. Because I mean, sometimes I'm like, I'm a man in a girl's body because I would just go quick to mad, quick, quick, quick.
Yeah,
Like, I think
reacting.
most women will get sad, this and that. No, I would get sad if I watched a wedding. Like, I would get mad real quick
Yep.
and either I'd block someone or cut it off and be like, I don't care. But now I'm like, like it goes back to what I was saying. What do I keep hearing in my head? Have you had enough of that? Have you had enough of that job? Have you had enough of that behavior that you've been
Mm,
living for so many years? And I'm like, I have. I've had enough of the ego and the pride and whatever I've let run my life for so long. And sometimes it does help in sales get you through, your first few years, but then you realize like that's not sustainable and that's not who I want to be ultimately.
yes.
And that's not what I want to show my kid. So yeah, breaking that pattern that's probably been the biggest level up moment and
Mm,
skill that I've gone through.
yeah. Yeah, being able to slow down. And so with
Hmm.
you mentioned your son, and so you're not just leading a team, you're also raising a son
Hmm.
in this journey of entrepreneurship. So how do you juggle being a business owner and being a single mom?
So I think the word that comes to my mind is honesty. A lot of things were just shoved under the rug for me growing up, and I always told myself like I just want to be very honest and open with my kid because there was just things that I probably didn't need to learn the hard way in my early adult years, and I think that he's already learned those lessons. And I mean, I kind of like overly lecture him on things, and I'm like, well, don't do what I did on this or don't. So I think. Just being super honest and open and real with him. I mean, I could do an order for a roof install and I can just show him the receipt and be like, this is how much things cost. Like,
Yes.
this is what, and I mean, because if not, especially kids, they can create their own idea of what things may cost or how long things may take. And I think just really showing them, like I bring him to installs. I've made him go door knocking. Like he's good at door knocking and he's 10. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm right there with him, but pushing him out of his comfort zone and yeah.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I'm reading a book. I highly recommend it just for our listeners and audience as well,
Mhm.
talking about communication. And for you as well, Crystal, I can send
Right.
this to you. It's the laws, John Maxwell book, The Laws of Communication.
Hmm.
And I don't know how many laws there are in John Maxwell wrote it. Beautiful book. I've read it. I'm going on my second time. The first law is the law of credibility. And so the law of credibility is basically, being living an authentic and transparent life. And that's his
Right.
first rule in the law of credibility is being transparent, being honest.
Hmm.
And so that's what builds that credibility and that authority. And what I'm hearing you say is by being transparent with your son and being honest with him, that's, and there's no fluff, there's no fakeness, it's just raw, real, and transparency, like
Yeah.
knocking on doors. It's tough, but hey, at the end of the day, getting comfortable, getting uncomfortable, this is going
Hmm.
to show up in other facets of life, and you're going to have that discipline, that skill sets versus other people. And so you just being
Right.
transparent is what I'm hearing is going to, I think, pay huge dividends in the long ways. And it's also aligned with
Mhm.
communication. When you're a transparent person versus somebody that doesn't live a credible life as a business owner, especially a business owner and a leader and a role model, is when you have no credibility because there's no transparency.
Right.
I think honesty, transparency, I couldn't agree with you more. I love that you said that.
Yeah. That's
Lessons. What lessons are you most intentional about passing down to your son through the way you live and lead? So I know you mentioned honesty. Did you have any subcategories to that, or do you have any additional lessons you want to be intentional about passing down to your son?
Yes, I think everything in life, whether it's professional, personal, ethics, like everything should be ethical. I always put ridge vent on every roof. Every other roofer I've ever met will charge for it. I am not charging for it.
Mm, very good.
Most houses already have it and it's already included like on the adjuster report, but I don't care. We are in Texas. It is hot. It is so dang hot. And so it is the best ventilation you can put on there. And ethically, it should just be on a roof. I mean, I should make a few extra $100 just because I don't. So I think teaching him to be ethical no matter what he does. Do not get so obsessed with money that you are not being ethical to people because, especially being a contractor, you can rip people off so easy and they would have no idea. And I love teaching homeowners like what I can show them every little thing of where people cheat them and
Yeah.
go cheap. So
Yeah.
yeah, ethics.
I think that's congruent with everything that you're doing as far as transparency, putting yourself in their shoes, and
Right.
and then having that skill set of ethics, and
Hmm.
just your character. I mean, it shows a lot of character of who you are. And that was one of the things I realized early in the insurance and building the insurance company was I
Right.
reflected back. I was like, why are these customers like leaning in and buying from me and becoming customers? I mean, I don't even feel like I'm trying. It's because
Right.
of all the things that we're talking about today. And it's just been so valuable. I've really enjoyed
Hmm.
this because it's packed with, the transparency and ethics and shooting people straight, not
Hmm.
manipulating and not sacrificing, equipment, roofing, uh, equipment to save, a couple extra bucks, but it's putting the
Hmm.
customer first. And I think now, especially nowadays, they people know. And
Right.
if you can address that, hey, by the way, you've gotten 15 other quotes, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't charge for this. By the way, they're cutting corners here,
Yep.
and that's all aligned with your character and the things that you can control. And to
Mm-hmm.
me, that is staying in your lane. That is doing things that you know how to do well and lead
Right.
well. And that's such a beautiful thing that with your son, it's caught, not taught. So he's seeing all these things go through that.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. Caught, not taught.
Caught, not taught. So what are some non-negotiables? I always love bringing up non-negotiables for business owners and
Mm-hmm.
people. This is a big request from people that reach out to me and the Level Up and Live podcast in our community is
Mm-hmm.
morning routines, evening routines, and non-negotiables. Do you have a few non-negotiables that help you reset and recharge outside of work?
Um, Non-negotiable. I mean, take a shower every day, but I I really was like stuck on a time to get up every morning, and I realized no, like if I'm tired, I'm because I was getting up at 4:30, and I was like, if I need to sleep till 5:30, I'll do it.
Mm,
The laundry will get done. So a non-negotiable for me, I think, is not putting such a human rule on this experience of life. So I try to just stay patient, know that like Rome wasn't built in a day. This company isn't going to be multi-million dollar company in a day, and keeping myself just patient and humble. And um, yeah, so
I love
yeah, those are the non-negotiable, just like keeping centered.
Yeah, and that's important because without that, then I feel like us as human beings, we get pulled in a million different directions. We have our goals, we have our ambitions, we have our family and community and customers. So if we
Yep.
don't have those one or two non-negotiables, whether it's a set wake up time or a morning routine or
Yep.
showering or taking the dog to the dog park, those
Yep.
are all non-negotiables, and I think that's what helps us uh,
Mhm.
refuel the tank.
And with roofing, it's such a variable. Like every day is different. I can't plan out my day. Like right now I should be going to an adjuster meeting, but it's raining. I'm like a farmer, live by the sun. Like whatever the outside's doing, that's my day. So I think I've had to learn like to just be able to quickly shift,
Mm,
shift everything around. But a non-negotiable is like I have a set time. I get my son from school. I bring him to school. I take her to the dog park. So I think those are like the things that no matter what's going on during the day, like those have to happen no matter what.
I
Yeah.
love that. And you're just going to create momentum after that. It'll change over time.
Right.
It'll evolve 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. Our
Hmm.
non-negotiables, they always change because our priorities shift,
Right.
and as we continue to grow. I've actually got it's April 23rd when we're recording this. I've got on my YouTube channel, links in the show notes. Quick plug there. I've got time management for high performing business owners and entrepreneurs. That's going to be
Right.
rolling out on April 25th. So I have to
That's so
send
good.
that to Christy actually reached out and said, "Hey, you should do a presentation on this." So I'm like, "Well, actually, I've got a YouTube link rolling
You're
out."
like here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for our mastermind members, in which you're a part of that group, for
Mhm.
our members, I'm going to be rolling that out as well in
Okay.
advance. So I think that'll be super helpful.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on that. Well, hey,
Because
well,
those
yeah.
the hours can just fly by.
Well, exactly. We all have the same amount of time during the day. It's what are we doing with that time?
Right.
Because that's our greatest asset is our time.
Right.
So
Yeah.
last and final question, then we'll wrap things up. I can't believe it's already been almost 40 minutes, Krystle.
I know. I thought it was 20 minutes and I looked, I was like, oh, it's
And we're not
40.
even drinking coffee or anything yet.
No, I haven't even had coffee today.
You have it?
No,
I've already had my coffee, so
trying to do better.
you're doing great. You're doing better than me.
Thanks.
All right, final question. How do you define success today, and has that evolved over time? And then
Yes.
the second part question is, where do you see your business and life in the next 3 to 5 years?
Okay.
So how do you
How was
how
that
do you
like
how do
stay on
you
topic for me? Okay, so I see success as different than what I used to see it. Obviously, it just used to be a number amount. Success now is that I did not give up, that I did not, every time that there's a problem or struggle or whatever,
mm,
and some are more hairier than others and some whatever, but the thought of quitting never comes to my mind because that could be also like a little bit of my pride and stubbornness, but like I'm not stopping. This is what I've chosen to do. Like this is what I'm going to do. There's so many times that I quit other things and I'm like, what if I would have stuck with that? Like what if I would have just, and I did, I put a lot of time and energy to a lot of things. And I busting my butt, but this is like, I'm like, this is it. We're close to 40. Like, I'm not quitting. So to me, that's success. It replaces, any corporate job I've had. So that's also another, like, a monetary level of success.
Yeah.
And so I think just growing with that, because the company will naturally grow. So as long as I do not give up every time that there's something that is thrown my way,
Yeah.
then we're good. 3 to 5 years, oh my gosh, I have no idea. Because if I told you all the changes in the last 3 to 5 years of my life, you'd be like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So I think just like sticking with this, just, if
Yeah.
maybe we'll add on other features, maybe we'll, put siding, this, that, more commercial. I would like more commercial jobs, I think, and have really like my residential
Yeah.
team, my sales team, just taking over residential, and I'm stepping more into commercial, because those take so much longer of a project.
Mm.
You can only do like a few a year. I think that's like the main where I would like to see this in 3 to 5 years.
Well, I think that's beautiful because what I'm hearing you also say is that you continue to show up. You continue to
Right.
plug yourself in. And I know, me and you've had several conversations behind the scenes. And I think that's what I'm hearing you also say is that's what it takes. You have to have
Hmm.
that support, that guidance from other people that believe in you. And then also at the same time, picking your head up just enough time to go, okay, what do I want it to look like a
Right.
year, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? We may not know. That's a great question. But
Yeah.
being challenged, even our listeners and audience and viewers today, being challenged, what does it look like for you in 1 year, two
Hmm.
years, 3 years? A lot of times we're not asked that. We're not challenged that. And so
Hmm.
what are we striving towards? It's a GPS. That's all it is a GPS. Are we on
Right.
track to becoming the person, the leader, the mom, the businesswoman, the man, whoever's listening? Are we on track to
Right.
become the person we want to be, and for our business and in our personal life?
And
So,
it's really like closing your eyes and like, what do you see?
yeah,
And it's just like, you don't just see yourself standing in a blank room. You see yourself somewhere,
yeah,
whether it's like the company you're at, or did you start a new company? Did you go partner with someone else to create something bigger?
yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It is a GPS to lead you into that direction.
Well, I love that. Well, Krystle, thank you for being who you are.
Thanks.
You are raw, you are real, you are authentic, and you are just awesome. This has been
Thank
great.
you. So
Appreciate
sweet.
you. Very invaluable today. Your story is proof that you can build a business, whether you're, a woman, single mom, doesn't matter, raise a family and still make time to live a life that you love. You've also shown us that leadership isn't about titles. It's about showing up, doing the
Mhm.
hard things and leading with heart. So
Well, thank
thank
you
you.
so much for having me. I'm so
Absolutely. Absolutely.
excited to see a year from now where we're talking.
Exactly. Yeah. A year from now, 2 years from now, definitely going to have part two. And so that's what I'm excited about and being able
Yeah,
to share that journey with you and be alongside the ride with you.
me too. Well,
So with that
thank
being
you.
said, how can our community, how can Level Up and Live, how can we support you at Clear Cut Roofing?
So I don't know if y'all saw yesterday, we had some hail in
Yeah.
Conroe. There was a
Montgomery
little,
County, we did. Okay.
yeah, up here by the lake, up by April Sound. So I give, just like every other roofer, free roof inspections. You can have 10 roofers get up there,
Yeah.
but I promise you, if there's not damage, I will tell you there's not damage. So go to my website. I put all these like all these different facts about hail, this and that. But there's a communication, contact us at the bottom.
Awesome.
You can also just call me, text me. I'll come look at it, give you my honest, like, you're good for another 10 years on a roof, whatever. And yeah, that's the best way that I can be supported is just put that website out there.
Perfect. And we'll have that in the show notes as well. So easy access, click on it, reach out to Krystle. Highly recommend her. She'll shoot you straight. She'll
Thanks.
be transparent, whether you need it or not. I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
And nothing but positive feedback from my team and some of the customers I think that they've sent you. So super
Well,
grateful for
thank
you,
you.
Krystle. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Well, to everyone listening, if Krystle's journeys resonated with you, take that next step. Maybe it's hiring your first employee, or maybe it's showing up more boldly in your own life. Whatever it is, don't wait. Share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe, leave us a review. And if you're a local business owner ready to level up, come join us in person. We meet every Friday right here in Montgomery County. Until next time, keep leveling up and living your best life.
Bye.